What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Dual Screens podcast, sponsored by Melted Pins and the mind behind the adventure games by Patrick Hickey Jr. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, each and every week, he brings it. Whatever it is, we do not know, but he is Andy Esimakis. How are you, Andy?
I had 2 Hot Pockets for dinner, and I want to die.
Wow. So we are on a strict timer, because that is going to be a problem shortly. 45 minutes tops. Wow, Andy.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Bad day.
Joining us, it's your fault. Yeah. Joining us this week is Alessandro Biollo of Stonebot Studio and is currently working on The Last Friend, which is a tower defense game like no other. Alessandro, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me here, Stephen and Andy. I'm
We're very
really excited to talk
here.
with you.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since we had a conversation. We met you last year at PAX East up in Boston, and we loved your game. We loved you, and we exchanged info and with the intentions of doing exactly what we're doing right now, which is getting you on this podcast. So we're very, very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Really excited. For those of you that are new to the Dual Screens podcast, this is an interview show where Andy and I bring on an industry guest for them to tell us their story and to discuss their latest project, if they happen to have one. Everyone in the gaming industry, be it a programmer, an artist, a voice actor, has a story to tell, and this is their platform to do so. The Dual Screens look at me, Andy. The Dual Screens podcast posts each and every Thursday on your podcast service of choice, including YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please give us a subscription and thumbs up and hit the little bell so you're notified when we post any of our other episodes right here. And of course, you can find everything on dualscreens.com. When we aren't interviewing awesome people like Alessandro, Andy and I, we also host the Dual Screens Gamescast, which is a gaming news show that pits the biggest news stories up against each other, and we declare the biggest winners and losers. And of course, that streams live on Sunday nights on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams, and of course posts each and every Monday. So be excited for that. And tomorrow, if you're listening to this now, on the day it came out, tomorrow we have our 3rd episode of Andy Explains It All, which is going to be all about Parasite Eve, so please look forward to that. And if you want to support us monetarily, you could do so on patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our Patreon producer, Colton, the apprentice Nestler. We cannot continue to grow without all of your support, so please, just $1 helps us out tremendously, and that $1 gets you into our secret Discord channel. It also gets you a bonus episode every month in which you vote the topic. It's really an awesome place to hang out. So, with all of that fancy stuff out of the way, Andy.
It's a lot. It's a mouthful.
Yeah. So, The Last Friend.
I ate 2 more Hot Pockets while you were talking.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
The Last Friend. Okay. Andy, I want you to remind me, was this a game that we had on our schedule, or was this one that we saw on the floor and fell in love with?
We walked by it, and it had some really awesome banner art going on. And there was dogs. And we're like, we should try this game. It looks colorful.
And there was a cool guy in the booth.
There was a cool guy. Well, he was a stranger, but he seemed cool. We took a chance, and then
he seemed friendly.
He did seem like a dog, very friendly. And we played this game, and it really just kicked our asses. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
because it's a tower defense game like no other, which is all over the marketing. Indeed. By the way. So I think the best way to describe this game. Yeah. So yeah,
we also say that it's a tower defense with a twist.
Oh yes, that's also in the.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and you should ask what's the twist.
Indeed. That's coming. That's coming, Alessandro.
Yeah,
so I need you to be patient, and I need you to hold your tongue.
Okay, I will.
No, so of course the twist, which is what really attracted me to the game, was it's got some really, really neat beat 'em up mechanics, like side-scrolling beat 'em up mechanics, where you not only are you defending your tower, so to speak, and you're laying down traps and all that, but you're also getting face first or face up close and personal with all of the enemies that you're defending against. It's a really cool concept. Alessandro, can you explain a little bit more about what The Last Friend is?
Yeah, okay. Can I release my tongue now?
Yes, you're allowed to speak.
Okay. Okay, so I've been holding back. Okay, so The Last Friend is a tower defense and a beat 'em up mashup of Saving Puppies.
Yeah,
It's adorable.
that's like the best elevator. We've heard a lot of pitches on the show, Alessandro.
Yeah.
That is like the top 5, if not top 3.
Okay.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah,
It's up there.
And it's like 3-second elevator pitch.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere there. Yeah, it took us a while to come up with this. So
go ahead.
okay, so basically, it's if you know the game Plants vs Zombies, right? So many people used to say, okay, this reminds me of Plants vs Zombies, and really is like the mechanics of Plants vs Zombies, but with a little twist. The twist is that we have beat 'em up by like old style beat 'em up. So we included these mechanics that you can find in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or in other older games like Streets of Rage. I don't know if you ever heard about that one. Yeah, so basically it's Plants vs. Zombies meets Streets of Rage. That's another pitch that we have. And something that makes it like very attractive to players is that it's not only about having the basic mechanics of the tower defense, but also you have to combine them with the beat 'em up aspect of the game. And let me tell you that 2 weeks ago we were at PAX South, and there were some guys who were playing the game, and they thought that it was only punching and kicking. But then after the third time that they were beaten, they say, "Oh my God, we have to be like more strategic when playing." Because the element of strategy is there. I mean, you have 3 lanes to defend, and you have to mount your defenses first. And then when you have solid defense, you can go all beat 'em up. But it's not only like I mean, you can't only do beat 'em up or strategy. It has to be like a complement.
See, I like how people go right away for the beat 'em up. I think we're wired just to beat the hell out of shit.
I think that happened to you, right? I remember.
I remember, like, I want to punch stuff in the face, but I have to think. I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that. Am I right, Steven?
I think you're selling yourself a little short because you like puzzle games.
I do.
You like that kind of thing, and I'm not particularly spectacular at tower defense games. Like I just don't have a lot of experience in them, but I do like beat 'em up games, and I like fast paced games. Like I like Twitch responsive type fighting and and stuff like that, and having to kind of juggle your defenses in a way that makes it so that you're the most effective you can be physically was really what I liked the most about this thing. Like setting up defensive blockades so that they either get stuck or they get funneled into a certain lane so that you could really hit some dudes as much as possible. I do forget how you get currency to continue to build. I don't remember if that's from enemies or if it's over time.
Yeah, from enemies. Yeah, every enemy that you defeat will drop scrap. So you are correct. Yes. You are collecting scrap, and with this scrap you can build turrets, walls, and traps. Yeah.
So would you mind if we go back a little bit? I'd like to know what was the genesis of this game? Like how did you guys come up with the concept of
the idea?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. This team, the first game was it's called Stereo Aerial, and it was the very first game ever released in El Salvador on a console platform. So it was released on PS4 and Xbox. It was a rhythm game. It was like Audio Surf. I don't know if you ever heard about Audio Surf.
Audios. No, it's not familiar to me.
No, maybe you're not familiar with rhythm games. But it's like Guitar Hero and a spaceship.
Oh,
Okay.
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. So they were trying to combine arcade shooters with rhythm games. It was like a strange mashup there. So the second
It's
game,
interesting, yeah.
So the second game they said, okay, if we did that the first time, let's do it again. So they were brainstorming in the studio, and while they were brainstorming in the studio, they came up like they formed like teams. So there were 4 teams, and every team had team of 2. So they had like a different concept, and there were 2 teams that had like very opposite concept. One was the proposal was a tower defense game, and the other one was a beat 'em up game. So at the end, while they were talking and giving so many ideas and brainstorming, they say, "Hey, why don't we merge these different genres?" So that's how they came up with the idea. And very basic stuff. I mean, who hasn't played Plants vs Zombies? Who doesn't know about beat 'em up? So it's like very basic concept that there was no other team that, I mean, like thought out about this idea of merging 2 different things. So that's how everything came up.
You know, it's funny because you wouldn't think that these two genre would go together, but then like once you get your hands on it, it makes complete sense. It makes total sense.
Yeah. I was talking with some guys at PAX South, and I was telling them that we hope that this could become like a little subgenre in the tower defense games, because all of the tower defense games are like you have to wait for the enemies to come at you to place your defenses. There are some games where you can move the another character or tower around the map, but there's nothing like ours that you can really go with your character and to have some action in while you're playing.
Now, I don't remember if this was a thing then, but is there the ability for one player to be the tower defense portion and the other player be the beat 'em up portion, or is it strictly just one person controls everything?
Okay, we have a prototype, and in this prototype, you will be able to have 2 people working at the same time.
Oh shit, Steven. This is it.
Yeah. That would be really neat. Unfortunately, we're not releasing this prototype in the near future. Like maybe it would be like a DLC or something.
Oh yeah.
Because
cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the means to keep with development going further. We've been working on the development for the last 3 years, so it's been really tough for an indie studio, especially that we're based in El Salvador, and there are not like many opportunities down here to get funding for the game, and things are a little bit harder because we have to travel back and forth to the US for every festival, for even for picking up some hardware and stuff that we need. We have to go to the States and bring it down here.
I was gonna say, like, what's that like being an indie developer in El Salvador? Because it's not like in the States or in Canada where there's huge thriving indie dev scenes.
Yeah. I wanted to put that on the table since you were telling me that there was a story behind everything that we're doing.
Yes.
And we started with video game development in El Salvador in 2010. I designed one of the first games in the country back in 2010.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
so but we're talking about only 10 years. I mean, and the industry's been in industry for 40 years.
Right.
So we just started like 10 years ago, and I created a video game for learning languages, for learning English. So it was like an RPG game. It was an RPG game that you learn some words and stuff. So that's how we started in the country. And then there was a program, an initiative from the government, and they were giving a grant. So they were giving some grants for 3 or 4 years to boost little indie studios, and that's how we started. But it was, I mean, it's been, maybe we've been doing this like full time maybe 3 years ago.
When you say we, how many people is your team?
Okay, the team is, just go figure, in El Salvador is one of the largest teams in the country, and we are only 11.
Oh wow!
You know what? You know what's pretty amazing though. Like you are a part of history. Like, you know, when we think back, like our friend of the show, Patrick Hickey Jr., who writes these books about game development. He interviews tons of game developers. He's got Gary Kitchen, like just tons of developers. Like, you're a part of history. You belong in one of these books for the game that you created. You were one of the first, if not the first ever, in El Salvador. So congratulations on that. That's incredible.
Thank you. And I think that I told you this in PAX, that this is the very first game ever to be released on a Nintendo platform from the country.
That is like the most insane thing.
Yeah, and it's only the second from Central America.
I mean,
what's the first?
I don't remember the name of the first one, but it's from Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, from Costa Rica, and they released it like 3 months ago or 4 months ago.
I was curious because, like, you said you started about 10 years ago as the first game developers in all of El Salvador.
Yeah.
What do you think took so long to get there? Because you see it's a thriving industry around the whole globe. And why didn't someone before you say, hey, I can make money in this industry if I try and do something with it? What took them so long?
Yeah, back in the 90s, here in Central America, not only in El Salvador, but Central America, which is 6 more countries, and we are like 30 million people in the whole region. Mm-hmm. We started with internet connection just in 1994.
Oh wow!
So everything was really slow going. I mean, not many people have internet connection. Not many people knew about programming, coding, and all that stuff. So it was like something like really new here, and not many people studied these careers because there were not many coding careers.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think
education I think was an issue.
Right.
So that the education part, but was it part of entertainment in El Salvador, or was it just kind of a taboo?
Here it was only entertainment, and
okay.
Even now, I'm working with a lot of young guys from university. I'm taking a group of 10 people to GDC this year because we got some scholarships from GDC. And
awesome.
Yeah, we're taking the 10 kids there. Well, I said kids because I'm like 45 and they are like 20. And I say that here in the country that I'm the grandfather of video games because I'm the oldest person on this. And people who are older than 45, they think that this is a waste of time. I received a lot of comments like, Alessandro, why are you doing this? This is not serious. Gaming is sort of a taboo here still. Because they see it as a waste of time and they don't see it as a way of living. So
now, can't you just there's facts that are pretty easily. I mean, you've had internet now for quite a while over there.
Yeah.
Sure. What is that? 26 years? Is that how math works? But
sure.
Can't you just pull up a quick article and say, "Hey, it's the most lucrative form of entertainment on the planet." And
well, I keep
movies
saying that.
and television combined don't even come close.
Like, would you say to an actor, "You're wasting your life being an actor in El Salvador"?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's the way people think here. I mean, here they think about a career should be like engineering or to become a doctor, stuff like very traditional professions.
So no
So
theater, no musicians, no creative arts, stuff like that.
There are artists, but
Right.
I mean, it's not like people don't see it as a formal way of living. They see you like if you
That's
are
the fringe.
that's like you are a little lazy and easygoing, and you want like the easy way, and that's the way that people see things here. So, but we're starting to change with that, but it's hard because really we are, as you were saying, we are one of the first, and we are making history, and the whole team is working not because we are making tons of money. Well, at all with the last game, we didn't make money at all, and it was an investment that we had from the government, and we basically lost all the money on this first game. That was like a major release for us, but we are trying to at least break even on with the last friend, and to prove people that they can make a real living out of making video games.
You could take any engineer and put him against a top developer, and I would say a developer's job would be almost, if not even more hard than their job.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work,
especially the solo devs.
Yeah, no, it's really hard. It's really hard. And for example, in my friend, who happens to be my student. He was my student when he was he was in sixth grade. I was his teacher in sixth grade, and now he's my partner. His name is Carlos, and with Carlos we have this partnership. He has the studio that is Stonebot, and I'm in charge of the commercialization, marketing, PR, and all that with Ludus Games. So we have this partnership going on, and we have basically invested our own monies because there are no banks that believe in the project. Wow! So it's really hard. It's really hard. I tell people that being an indie developer in the US is hard, or in Europe, in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil is 10 times harder. Now put 10 times harder in El Salvador.
So I guess what I want to ask you now, Alessandro, is given all this resistance that you face from your country and how it's not taken as seriously, why are you doing this?
Why? Okay.
Why are we here?
Why wouldn't you just try and do this somewhere else where it's more receptive?
Because I'm a dreamer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and you know what? My grandpa, he as I was telling you, he was Italian, and when he came to the country, he came with only one toolbox, and he started his own business. He was a mechanic engineer, and it was one of the first mechanical shops in the country. So my father and my grandfather, they were like very well, they were respected by the community because they were the very first mechanical engineers in the country. So when I go out and talk with people, they always say, you're the son of Mario, was my father, but not Mario Bros, but Mario Biollo. And so they recognize me because of my father. So I want to have like the same legacy for my children. I mean, when people talk about video games in the country, they say, I remember your dad working on the first games, and that's what I'm working for. And also I would like to make money, right? Because I know that the industry is profitable.
Right, of course.
It's only for the history, but that's the drive that we have in the team. We know that we are doing something unique. We are trying to change people's minds, and in the way we can make money, because we know how profitable this could be.
I think you saw your roots and you said to yourself, what can I be the first at? Video games. That's going to be my thing. That's my legacy. That's what I think. And I've talked with a lot of people, and I talk with people from finance, and they tell me, Alessandro, what you are doing is not the best thing. Well, I have a friend that he told me, you are really stupid, Alessandro, because you could be doing something else. It's like, apps here, apps are very popular.
and many of the young engineers that are studying at the university, they are studying programming, but for apps or for software, but like this tailor-made software. And that's what people are doing in the country, but not video games, because video games is like, I'm telling you, it's like they see it as a waste of time. It's an industry that people don't understand. And here in the country, people don't really understand what the video game industry is.
You know, the first apps were games.
Yeah.
When Apple had that iPod, the first app that was on there was that Brick Breaker thing. You know, it's just amazing to see. Yeah, and you know, Angry Birds was huge. But one of the things that kind of struck me as you were talking, I'm thinking about, okay, there's your engineer or your architect or whatever. Gaming is unique in that the architect, like you don't, as an like I work in construction, that's my day job. I'm an estimator. Okay. So an architect draws up a set of drawings and then I go and price them.
Yeah.
You don't see an architect going, okay, I finished drawing this thing. Now give me a hammer and I'm going to build it. Like, that doesn't happen in that industry. It doesn't happen in engineering where they go, oh, I've engineered this plan to build this bridge. Now give me my torch and my steel and I'm going to go build it. Like, that doesn't happen. But in gaming, yeah. But in gaming, that's exactly how it is. You come up with this plan as a designer, and in a lot of cases, especially indie development, you know, a lot of these people are one man, one woman teams where they go in there, they design it, they program it, they make the art for it, they put everything in motion, and like the weight of the world is on their shoulders because if it doesn't succeed, they don't succeed. Yeah. And it's a very unique in that way. Not even movies are like that. Like, I could pump out a script and sell it. If it's any good, it'll sell, and then it's somebody else's problem. Somebody else has to make it. But I'm not writing something. I'm not behind the camera saying action, going in front of it, finding locations, doing the costumes, doing the light. Like, it can be done, but that person would get way more recognition than a developer who's doing the same amount of work for way longer. Yeah. Like, video games take years. Yeah, I don't know, it's just it's fascinating that people on the outside of the industry can't see an analog like that. They can't see that there are comparisons to other industries. And of course for me, money.
For me, it's even worse because when people talk with me about what are you doing, Alessandro, and I tell them I'm working with video games and stuff, and they say, you're a programmer. Yeah, and I said, no, I'm not a programmer. I'm not. I don't know how to code. Okay, so you are an artist, you are an animator, or you are an illustrator, or something like that. No, I don't know anything about that either. Because I'm the business guy, so I'm the business developer in the team. I do PR, I do marketing, I do what I'm doing with you guys. I mean, you are part of the people that are there that want to know about the project and stuff, and you will talk with your community about this. So this is my job. I mean, my job is to communicate about the game. But when I say these things here in my country, it's like, what is that? I don't really understand what you're doing. I mean, they sort of understand it, but it's really hard. I was talking the other day with the authorities from the government because we just changed government. And I was telling them, okay, think about the video game industry as Hollywood. And they got to understand a little bit better.
Do you think this is going to change sooner rather than later, or do you think this is still going to be a slow crawl towards some sort of progress?
Well, for the good of my pocket, I hope that this comes soon. Yeah, I think that, well, with my partner, we're working on a 10-year project.
Okay.
Yeah, and we are on the 3rd year. Struggling, but we are there. We decided after the first failure with the first game, we said, okay, the guys from Angry Birds, they hit it big with their 43rd game. Angry Birds they have released a lot of games before. So we said, okay, it will take us about 10 years to be successful. So we are on that plan. We started with the last friend doing things differently. We have changed the perspective of many, many, many things. It's like we have taken a whole year to polish the game. That's something that we didn't do with the last game. I mean, if you play the last game, the last friend now, it's a very different game from what you played last year.
Will we be getting our hands on this thing? Are you going to PAX East this year?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to PAX East this year.
Right.
But how about you? You're going, right?
We are going. Yeah.
We'll miss you.
Are you doing any other events during the year?
PAX East is kind of our bread and butter. It's not too far from us. It's not too
Yeah.
expensive for us to get to. But if we get into any other conventions, we will definitely, try and do it. Try and make them. We do a lot of the smaller ones, more local. Play NYC, play crafting. It's for the tri-state area.
Games for Change, I think, is in New York.
I don't know that one.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we're trying to grow as much as we can. Right now, it's really just me and Andy, and then hopefully, we start growing our core team to get more regular help, which is on the horizon. So it's kind of for us, it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year plan as well, and we're in the middle of year 3 as well. So there you go.
Is that our real plan? This is new to me.
Every time Andy and I speak, our plans evolve and change. Like every single time we talk about the future of the company.
5 more years to the company's plan.
Yeah.
So, Alessandro, what's it been like? Because you guys have this sort of backer program going on now for The Last Friend.
Yeah.
To, I guess, raise funds in a sense prior to the game being released. It's not like a Kickstarter. You don't get like a demo, or there's like a goal you have to hit. So what's that been like for you guys in terms of your internal goals and the response with that so far?
Yeah, okay. We had some issues especially with the website, because we had some problems with the website in terms of attracting like people. It's way better to be in Kickstarter, but we didn't want to be in Kickstarter because it's only you got only 30 days or 45 days, and that's it. And if you don't hit the goal, you lose the money, right?
Right.
So we are using the campaign more as a marketing tool rather than collecting funds.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because we said, okay, if we're doing a Kickstarter, it's because we need the funds. But I'm not going to say that we don't need the funds, but we already had the enough money to keep the project going. So we said, let's use it more as a promotional tool.
Yeah, it's like a pre-order, and you get little bonuses. Like I get my name in the game with my dog's name in the game too now.
Yeah, and
which is great.
And we hadn't made a lot of noise lately because we'll be releasing a new platform with some new guys from they're called Sola. They have like a very nice platform where you can work with streamers, and you can work with different influencers. So you can even give people a link, and with this link, if you help us promoting the game, you will get some revenue out of the link. And
oh wow,
that's cool. It's really cool. So we are like working on this platform. We've been working on this for the last 2 months and a half. So this site, we will use it for selling the pre-order. Like the game is a pre-order, and to get people involved in the cool packages that we have. But releasing it last year was more for promotional purposes.
Okay. All right.
So when will what stage are you in with The Last Friend? Like where are you as far as development goes?
Okay, let me tell you that we are very, very close to the gold version that they say.
Beautiful.
Ah, yes, that's the one you want to hit.
Going gold, baby.
We're going gold at the end of this month.
Holy shit!
Yeah, yeah. So we're there, and
So that explains they're not going to PAX East this year. You got to focus on going gold.
Yeah, that explains it.
Yeah. That's why, and we are really excited because, well, personally, because I'm not a developer and I'm not like working with the development team every day. I I hardly ever see them because I like to not to get involved in the development of the game so I can have a clear mind when I'm testing the game.
Right.
Yeah, that's very
That makes sense.
yeah, because when you are the developer, you know every little reaction that enemies will have. You know what, because you have programmed things, so
Right.
you know what to expect. So I like getting these builds, and I play the builds, and I give my comments, and I take the builds and play with people in festivals. We do some testing with people from universities here. We have a couple of universities that we visit every every month, and we play with the kids there, and we ask them for feedback, and we've been polishing the game a lot, and now you get that feeling of playing a real strategy game with that twist.
So, on the topic of builds and enemies,
Yeah,
more precisely, a lot of talk on this podcast about taking your craft and your industry seriously
yeah.
from the folks in El Salvador. Give our audience a taste of an enemy of the game that's called, I believe, YOLO.
Yeah. You lost with the YOLO, right?
So explain this character to our audience.
Well, this character is the one that he sets on fire himself and he explodes. Yeah, and before exploding, he dabs at you.
He dabs.
Yeah, you remember that he dabbed?
Yes.
Yeah, they dabbed before exploding.
This guy was such a bitch. He would like literally he has a gasoline tank in his hand with a lighter.
Yeah,
and he's dousing himself and running towards you.
Yeah.
I think that's when I fell in love.
Somebody should tell him, you only die once too.
Well, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point, yeah. And you know what? Yeah, okay, if you think about the YOLO, the YOLO is I think it's the 7th level, and in the first world, and that's where we changed the whole gameplay, because if you played from level 1 to level 6, you know what to do in the game. You know the basic enemies, so you can be confident that you can easily pass the next level. But then when we throw the YOLOs at you, everything changed up. And I mean, if you had a strategy, you're like, okay, I'm going to build my turrets, I'm going to build my walls, so I will be well protected. And what happens when we throw the YOLO at you? Because they explode and they destroyed everything. So that's like
I'm writing down that throw the YOLOs at you. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, so that's what we've been trying to do, and let me tell you that the next worlds are even better, and I will give you a little sneak peek that we give to PR people in PAX South. Is that in the first level, if you remember, in the first world, there were 3 lanes to protect, right?
Oh, shit. I know where it's going.
Okay, and the next one, it's gonna be 5.
Oh crap!
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. So
that's where brains get broken.
Yeah, the whole strategy that you might have the first levels will completely change. So really, you have to adapt. So we are constantly throwing at you different elements that will change the gameplay. So that's where we are aiming for, because we don't want a game that people say, okay, it's cool, has cool art, it has dogs in it, it's fun to play. No, we want something like really makes a difference. Something like when you play it, you say, "Wow!" You know what I talk with the guys? I tell them we got to come up or to have a finished product that people could say, these guys did what Plants vs. Zombies didn't do on the second Plants vs. Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Because Plants vs. Zombies 2 was the same. I mean, people didn't like it because it was the same thing.
Right.
So can we expect you to charge us for platinum turrets for $199?
Well, because this would be a premium
The
game.
premium items, yeah.
Saint
Yeah,
Bernard
so-
doggo friend.
You know, I think
So we give everything, right?
right. I think we're missing the most fundamental part of this conversation, Stephen,
Okay.
and that's this whole thing with puppies and dogs.
Yes.
What is their deal? Why do we have to save them? What's going on there?
Okay. Well, if you remember a little bit about the story, this is an apocalyptic world that only few humans survived, and some of the humans have turned into mutants. And story says that mutants are taking away dogs, and other stories say that they might be experimenting with dogs, running experiments on dogs, and some other like very creepy stories say that they are eating dogs.
Indeed.
God.
Yeah, so you are
One of those three actually happens on this earth now, so that's a little weird.
yeah.
I think
Actually,
it's,
two
I think,
of those
I think
three.
it's all three.
Well, well, yeah. Well, you are. I can't tell you much about the story because you're that we want to let people figure out by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. But the whole thing is like saving and rescuing dogs. We also want to raise awareness of dog rescue. And we have a cool deal going on with Humble Bundle. The game will be available on Humble Bundle, but
nice.
it will be linked to dog shelters.
Oh,
That's awesome.
That is so
So
goddamn awesome.
Yeah, so if you get the game from Humble Bundle, you can donate to any dog shelter you want. And we don't get a penny of that because everything, the transaction and everything is done in Humble Bundle. So we are just there to help out dog shelters.
All right, so
That's
I'm buying this
fantastic.
game twice is what's happening right now.
That's apparently what's got to happen. Maybe we could be a Humble Bundle like partner or something.
Yeah.
We could start doing that soon.
We'll
That'd be cool.
We'll do a stream.
Yeah.
For this. It has to happen.
Okay, that'll be
Yes.
cool. That'll be cool. Yeah, and you know, dog shelters, they have a hard time. I really admire people who work in dog shelters because we've been trying to connect with dog shelters, but it's been really hard. And it's been really hard because they are doing so many things that they don't even have time to reply on Messenger or emails and stuff like that because they don't really have time because there are not many people helping out. So this would be a way of aiding what they are going through.
I mean, I think it's awesome, and that's a little added incentive for those of you who are thinking about buying this one. All right, so we actually have some questions from our listeners, our community.
Don't sound so
we do.
surprised.
I know.
Like,
Don't sound so
it's like, yeah, they do it sometimes.
They do it.
They do it.
This is coming from our Patreon producer, Colton Nestler, Colton the Apprentice Nestler. He asks, how can the tower defense adapt to remain relatable? It feels like many aren't being made in comparison to other genres. So I think that you kind of touched on this a little bit on making sure you're making this different so that it kind of stands out. Not to be kind of like how Plants vs. Zombies and Plants vs. Zombies 2 kind of did it, and where they didn't really iterate at all. So yeah, how do you think that tower defense could make a comeback?
Well, we are okay. What we think is that with this twist of having a beat 'em up, the beat 'em up aspect within the game, that will take you to a whole different level because because tower defense games, they are very slow, they are slow pace at some point, and it's just doing the same thing over and over. But with our approach, it's different because it's a multitasking experience. Like you were saying about the YOLOs, we throw YOLOs at you, then the next level will throw something else at you, and there will be certain bosses that it will be just beat 'em up fights, like if you are fighting in Streets of Rage. So there are a lot of different elements in the game. It's not, and the thing is that since this is a mashup of two different genres, you really have to balance your gameplay so that you are not only relying on your beat 'em up skills or your strategy skills, but rather combining them.
Awesome. I hope that answers your question, Colton. Buzz has a question here, and this is a pretty good one here. What are your thoughts on how Blizzard released Warcraft 3 Reforged, since Warcraft 3 was the birthplace of the genre? Also, how much influence did Warcraft 3 have on the team, if any, when making The Last Friend?
Our coder, our programmer, he's been playing Warcraft his whole life. So there's a lot of influence there. There's a game that also influenced the team a lot, and is Orcs Must Die.
Oh, it's a great one. I love that game.
Yeah, so if you know about Orcs Must Die, basically one of the basic ideas when we started with the project and when we were pitching the project within the team, it was, okay, let's create Orcs Must Die 2D.
Ah, I see that now.
So
that
if
makes
you,
sense.
yeah, you know that there is a subgenre right now of the soul-like games, right?
Right.
Yes.
So are indie games that are platformers, but they are very similar to Dark Souls.
Correct.
So they are 2D soul games. That's what I call them. And so The Last Friend is sort of a Orcs Must Die 2D. So that's what we try to do. We try to put all the elements from a game like Orcs Must Die, that is really, it's a tower defense game, and we put them into 2D. That's our bet. Really, it's a big bet.
Yeah,
You know that.
I see that now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Go check Orcs Must Die. The other day, there was a guy that he told me, this is Orcs Must Die. And I said, you nailed it. Not many people talk about Orcs Must Die because it was not like a very popular game, but it was sort of popular.
Yeah, and a fan base.
Yeah.
It got like, I think, 1 or 2 sequels, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got 2 sequels, and it's really cool. Yeah, it's a really cool game. So basically, the concept behind The Last Friend is that concept that they have in Orcs Must Die, but we put it in 2D. So we said if it worked in 3D, it might work in 2D.
It looks way more fun, though, The Last Friend.
It works.
I'm not going to lie. It looks way more entertaining.
Thank you.
It definitely works. All right, so that is going to do it for our listener questions. And before we get into our final segment here, which is our rapid fire questions, I do want to tell our listeners about our sponsors. We have Melted Pins, which is a fantastic website run by one of the friends of the show, Kelsey Lynn. She's an artist that does original tattoo art inspired designs for different types of pins and buttons. I said bins, that's weird. Canvas bags, t-shirts, mugs, and all sorts of really fun stuff. She's done art for this show. She's done art for many different websites and podcasts as well. And if you go to meltedpins.com and you find something you like and you want to buy it, well, we can get you 10% off, and it's very simple. Use the checkout code NDSMelted. So simple. NDSMelted will get you 10% off of your purchase. Tell Kelsey that Dual Screens sent you. And our other sponsor is Patrick Hickey Jr.'s The Mind Behind the Adventure Games, which is out right now on Amazon.com. It's in Barnes & Noble, and you can also get it at PatrickHickeyJr.com. This book, let me tell you something. I finally started digging in on this one because I finished the Minds Behind the Games. What Patrick does is he interviews over 30 of the classic and cult video game creators to talk about those games when they came out. So this one, I'm just going to read a little blurb off the back that kind of tells you what this book is about. It's featuring interviews with the creators of 31 popular video games, including Grand Theft Auto, Strider, Maximum Carnage, and Pitfall. This book gives a behind-the-scenes look at the origins of some of the most enjoyable and iconic adventure games of all time. Interviewees recount the endless hours of painstaking development, the challenges of working with mega publishers, the growth of the adventure genre, and the creative process that produced some of the industry's biggest hits, cult classics, and indie successes. The stories that Patrick is able to get out of developers and it is incredible and mind-blowing and eye-opening. And sometimes we get stories like that on our show, but if you like what we do on our show, you are going to love Patrick's book. So if you go to patrickhickeyjr.com, you could order the book directly from Patrick, and he literally packs these in his house, sticks little fun surprises in the book, like some baseball cards and stuff like that. I believe he even still autographs the books for you, and he personalizes them and sends them to you. But you could also, of course, get them on Amazon. I believe they are in Barnes & Noble, and you could do that right now. And he's just shown a picture of the minds behind the shooter games, all the games he's got for that book coming out, and holy crap. And he's also got the minds behind the sports games coming out as well. So he's just putting in the work. He's a former guest of this show. We love him very much, and we love his books. Andy, have you dug in yet?
It's a long ad, Steven.
It's not that bad.
I have dug in. Yes.
I want one of those for The Last Friend.
Oh,
well we might be able to make that happen.
Okay, the mind behind the Tower Defense games. Yeah. The 5th book he's working on.
We will definitely hook you up with Patrick. He's a great dude. He's a personal friend of the show, and his work is amazing. All right, so let's get into rapid fire questions. By the way, that ad was only 2 minutes, Andy. So suck.
That's long.
That's no way. He's well worth it. All right, it's time for rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Alessandro, I hope that you are ready because you are going to get hit with some of the hardest hitting questions that you are going to have to answer without really giving much thought to them because we put even less thought into the questions. Andy, start us off with the biggest conundrum of all.
Oh, yes. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
So far, we've only had one no on this entire show.
Don't editorialize. Okay. Let's go to the next question.
Alessandro, here's another conundrum question, and another one that we've asked all of our guests.
Okay.
Would you rather have the power of flight or invisibility?
The power of flight.
Andy, your turn.
Would you rather come face to face with a medium-sized hippopotamus or a giant cockroach?
Ooh.
Also, keep in mind that they're both in a bad mood.
Oh, my.
I guess the cockroach.
Oh,
man. It would be easier to defeat, I guess. I don't know.
How big is a giant cockroach, Andy?
It's hippopotamus-sized.
Okay, so... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that because they're pretty strong. They're indestructible as it is. That's scary. I don't like that at all. Alessandro, what is your favorite cheese?
My favorite cheese, well, it's a local cheese.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's called petacones. Yeah, it's really delicious.
What animal is this from? Is this a goat cheese?
No, cow.
Cow cheese.
Yeah, cow cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to Italian, how much do you enjoy garlic?
Let's say a 9.
Nice. Very close.
All right.
Very close. It's a lifeblood, okay?
Yeah.
Red or white wine?
White wine.
Interesting.
I know. Italians like red wine. Yeah, but I like white wine better.
How do you feel about cranberries?
That's a very weird question, Andy. I gotta be honest.
Listen, the listeners know. Alessandro asked us if things are going to get weird, and we said, "Yeah, they're going to get weird."
I mean, they're good. They're good. That's all I would say.
When was the last time you can recall? You can recall having an accident in your pants.
The last time, maybe when I was a kid.
I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah. Maybe I was in first grade.
Okay, that's respectable. That's respectable because that's barely out of kindergarten, so I'll allow that.
Yeah. First grade.
Because Andy, it was like 2 years ago. It was a bad day.
When I got an email saying yes to come on the show, I was like, "Oh my god, it's happening! It's happening!" Would you rather be trapped in a small room with 10,000 tarantulas for 10 minutes, or eat 10 tarantulas in 10 minutes?
Well, if they're cooked, I would go for the second one.
Well, it's not specified. So
I would go. Okay, I would eat them. I would eat them.
They're live tarantulas.
Well, if they're live, you said 10,000, right?
Yeah. So you're
way too many to kill them. I will go with the 10. I will go with the 10.
All right.
You're gonna eat them. Good.
Right,
so
fear factor shit right there for you.
Would you rather fight 10 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
I'm just imagining what a horse-sized duck would look like.
A horror show is what it would look like. It would look like a fucking dinosaur.
I think one. It would be one.
One? You want to go for the one?
Yeah.
Dinosaur-sized duck. Got it.
Yeah, it would be.
You are ballsy. I got to be honest.
Yeah, he's eating tarantulas, fighting ducks.
Fighting everything. Well, we fight mutants in The Last Friend, so we're ready for that.
All right.
Speaking of, is a human life more valuable than the life of a dog?
Human life.
I don't know about
More
that.
Valuable. That I think. I mean, it's not my question to answer, but like I feel like monetarily, it's way more valuable because of the potential that a human could do for the earth. But
right,
I don't think you can discern whose soul is
unconditional.
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult. But well, when I think about humans, I think about my children. So you know,
that'll do it.
Like a very soft spot for a father.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you tell me if you tell me about saving someone, and it will be my 2 kids. So
2 kids, okay.
Yeah.
Very very easy next segue into a question.
Yeah.
Without thinking, you can't pause. You can't say anything silly.
Okay.
All right. Which one's your favorite?
That is the most fucked up question.
Yeah.
Hey, I have 2.
Story, Steven.
I have 2.
Okay. Maybe the little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the little one. Yeah.
The older one can fend for himself.
What about you, Jeff? What's your favorite?
What about you?
Me?
Good Penny.
They have their they definitely both have their flaws.
Yeah. Get to the answer.
They have right now in the current state of what they are as human beings. I'm gonna have to say my firstborn because he is way sweeter and nicer, and my daughter is very mean.
I'm gonna get that sound clip out for later use.
Yeah.
Put it in the blackmail folder I got going on.
Yeah. I'll do the same.
Alessandro, what sound does a giraffe make?
Interesting.
We'll see how he answers.
I don't know. I have no idea.
If you were making a movie, okay, you have complete control. Budget is no question.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who is starring in that movie?
Starring in that movie. Oh, it's a hard one. Oh. Sylvester Stallone when he was younger.
Oh, okay. So specifically,
yeah.
So specifically, 1983, Sylvester Stallone. I could appreciate that.
The Rambo, Rocky.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, 83, he was on another level. Well, yeah, 85, he was ridiculous. Rocky 4, oh my God, he was just on another level. Andy, let's do a couple more questions.
All right. Would you rather always have a small rock in your shoes or always have mud in your shoes?
Oh, man.
Mud. I would go with mud.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I would too. I feel like the rock would cause way more damage.
Yeah. And it's like you have it there with the mud. I mean, I don't care about being dirty or not.
Fascinating. Steven?
Yeah.
What is your favorite American movie? Hollywood movie?
I have many, but my favorite movie of all time, well, it's American, but it's Scottish. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
Braveheart.
I don't.
Braveheart.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's an American actor, but this
He's
is
an Australian actor.
He's not American.
He's an Australian actor. But I said movie, so I mean that was a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
That took place in Scotland that starred an Australian.
Yeah, no, but he's American.
Who?
What's his name?
Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson. Yeah.
He's an Aussie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
you could hear it really, really thick in the first Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
In the first Lethal Weapon, he has like a bunch of lines in that movie where he's just straight up has an accent. It's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
well,
he wound up beating it out of him.
Hollywood movie would be Braveheart.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good movie. I think I've only seen it twice, but I remember the first time being blown away and the second time just being like, okay, this is too much. It was like 4 VHS tapes. It was a lot.
Yeah, but I'm an 80s guy, so I love Rocky, Rambo, all those Vietnam movies from the 80s. Yeah.
Platoon and all them.
Yeah, Platoon and all that.
Yeah. Those were good. Predator was great. All right, Andy, your final question of rapid fire.
Time. Oh, before we do our final question?
Yes, before the final question.
Final. Okay.
I get it. So this is the pre-final.
Pre-final, yes.
Okay.
All right. Not a question.
Oh.
Say something cool.
Wow.
You two are good boys.
Well, that's a great segue into our final question.
We'll see who the coolest boy is.
Yeah,
that's right.
The coolest boys. Okay.
Final question, and this is gonna make or break this whole show.
Wow.
Alessandro, Andy, or Steven?
Both of you. Definitely.
We've gotten that about 50% of the time, Andy.
Yeah, we have.
It's interesting.
I think it's a lack of courage.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what it shows is that they're cowards.
No, but
Thank
you two are really cool guys. So, and I really appreciated that. Well, you hit me up and wanted to know a little bit more about story. And as I was saying before, I mean, we're doing this. We're trying to be pioneers in our country. We're trying to deliver something that that maybe people in the future will talk about. So we're really thankful and we're very excited to be heard in the United States.
Well, we were absolutely thrilled to have you on. You're an excellent guest. Why don't you tell everybody where they could follow you and they could follow The Last Friend and they could follow everything that you guys are doing?
Okay, well, you can follow us on our website, www.thelastfriend.net, and our Twitter account handle is at the Stonebot.
The Stonebot.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And it's the same handle for Instagram and Facebook, but we do more Twitter.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow us on social media, we are at NDS Podcast. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at Pantsguy. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/dual-screens-podcasts. And you could follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/dual-screens-streams. Our theme song, Retro Chatter, was by Bradley Parsons at Train Sound Studio. And thank you, Andrew Douglas, for all of our art, and Matt Murray for all of our templates and overlays. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/NDS Podcast, you could shop at our store at teespring.com/store/dual-screens-shop. And that is going to do it for another exciting installment of the Dual Screens Podcast. Andy, is there anything you want to tell our listeners before we go?
Well, I want to announce next week's guest, but I think I'm going to stop doing that because sometimes things change.
Right.
Or things get shifted around.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell our listeners who we have on the docket for the next few shows? Because I know we have been booking quite a few.
We do have quite a few. Let's see. The games
in no particular order.
Right. So we have the games Scourgebringer, Okinawa Rush, Cook Serve Delicious 3. And then you spoke to someone recently too.
Yes. Pro Wrestling X. The developer, the director behind that one, which is a very, very indie game. It's like a throwback to the old N64 wrestling games. So he's a listener of the show and a friend of Patrick Hickey Jr., actually. And he hooked that up. So we're going to get him on the show as well. So we have plenty of guests lined up. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to PAX East, look for us. We will be there. We're going to be interviewing. We're going to try and beat our record from last year. We're going to try and do over 40 devs this year when we go there. We're going to try and speak to over 40 this year. That is going to do it for us on the Dual Screens Podcast. Thank you so much. If you remember to rate and subscribe this show, and if you are listening on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel and give a thumbs up and leave a comment and talk to us because we love to talk back to you. Andy, it was a pleasure hanging out with you. Alessandro, thank you
guys
so much for joining us. Absolutely. Anytime. You're welcome anytime. That is going to do it for us. Until next time, take care. And as always, please be excellent to each other.